Terraria is a game about progressing through mining for materials, creating extravagant builds, and fighting bosses. Right? Well, I don't like to play by the rules. Hello everyone, Iron Pizza 73 here, and today I want to answer the question of if you can beat Master Mode without breaking blocks. The rules are pretty simple. I can't break blocks, but I can alter them however I wish. Explosives are not allowed as an alternative to breaking blocks. However, breaking pots or grasses is fine, since avoiding accidentally breaking them is nearly impossible. Game is played in journey mode to reduce grinding, however my abuse of it will be limited. Crates are not allowed for duplicating bars for armors and weapons. God mode and extra block placement range are of course banned as well. To start off, after we load into the world, I immediately am looking for naturally generated caves. I want to get as much underground as I can to reduce the amount of grinding I'm about to have to do. Specifically, I'm looking for Hermes boots and maybe a cloud in a bottle. Unfortunately, we find neither, but that won't be a huge issue. Now, how exactly do you get wood? Well, there's a couple of options. Trees. Specifically giant trees and, well, actual trees. Giant trees are pretty obvious. Their chests tend to have a surplus of wood inside them. But how do you get wood from regular trees without cutting them? Well, did you see that? And here again. You can get wood from trees by simply shaking them with an axe. No block breaking required. Now with wood, we unlock our first method of transportation. Hoiks. Hoiking is a method where you angle blocks in such a way that you can clip through them, allowing for extremely fast transportation, or in our case, clipping through walls. Unfortunately, due to how bad I am at hoiks, or it just being downright impossible, I can only really clip horizontally through walls, meaning it isn't a permanent solution to our movement problems. This especially becomes apparent when my jungle is blocked by a giant mahogany tree, locking me out of the jungle until we get a better option. Now for what probably took the longest of pre-hard mode. Fishing. And this is part of why I use journey mode. When I did this on normal for the original version of the challenge, I spent about 20 hours of fishing for golden crates, for life crystals, and ended the game with only 160 HP regardless. I didn't want to have to grind that even harder, especially for master mode, since having 400 HP would probably be a near necessity. Regardless, I spent about 5 hours anyways, fishing for gear and potions. I use sailfish boots as my alternative to Hermes boots. At this point, I was ready to steamroll to hard mode, with my ancient shadow armor generously donated by at least 600 Eaters of Souls, which I cranked up the spawn rates to ×10 to speed up the process of. I also spent an hour or two grinding out as many herbs as possible to maximize the number of buffs I used. The key ones I wanted were Wrath, made from Eboncoin and Deathweed to give me bonus damage, and Endurance from Armored Cavefish and Blinkroot, which reduced the damage amount I took. Afterwards, I make short work of the Goblin army, and quickly dispose of the Eye of Cthulhu, Skeletron, and then make my way through probably the strangest elevator I've created, ultimately to fight the Wall of Flesh. I exchanged my Shadow Armor in favor of Necro Armor, as my weapon of choice was the Hellwing Bow, due to its high DPS and piercing capabilities, allowing me to easily tear through both the wall and the Hungries as I went through the fight. Ultimately, the combination of gear and buffs made the wall a trivial defeat, and now we enter hard mode. I was very lucky with the drops from the wall, giving me a Clockwork Assault Rifle and a Ranger Emblem, key items to beat the mechs with. Now that I have access to hard mode materials, I gain my main mode of transportation for the rest of the game: teleportation potions. Teleportation potions allow me to go anywhere in the map without breaking any blocks. All I needed are some chaos fish and some luck and enough time. By the end of the challenge, I used over 1,000 teleportation potions. After getting life force potions from prismarine fish and fairy wings, I essentially go straight into fighting the mechs. I first kill the twins, being the ones I'm most familiar with, and are able to be dispatched easily by the Clockwork Assault Rifle combined with silver bullets. Overall, a pretty easy fight. Next up on the chopping block was the Destroyer. I considered getting a Daedalus Stormbow to absolutely shred him, however my patience with fighting Hallowed Mimics was thin, and I soon gave up on that idea. I decided to just stick with the Hallowed Repeater and Unholy Arrows, which did plenty of DPS anyways, especially with full Hallowed Armor. Finally, onto Skeletron Prime. He was the boss I was probably the least versed with, but there wasn't too much to worry about, with my full Hallowed gear, and it being vanilla, making the attack patterns trivial to dodge. After a single attempt, I'd finally slain all 3 mechanical bosses, and could move on. Things were looking like they'd be pretty easy, right? Oh, was I so wrong. Plantera was a massive issue for many reasons. First off, how the hell do I even activate a Plantera Bolt without breaking blocks? Isn't it a block itself? I can't just mine it. I had to get a little creative. After some research, I determined how I would do it. A hammer or lava. See, if you hammer a block beneath a bulb, it triggers the bulb to spawn Plantera. Technically, I didn't break it, it broke itself. Okay. I get the hammer is a bit of a technicality, but the lava method sometimes wouldn't spawn Plantera. That wasn't the only problem with Plantera, however. Plantera was host to high damage, high speed, a lack of space to properly move, and those fucking tentacle grabbers. I tried everything. From minecarts, to fighting her in rage, to trying to cosplay Mappy with a one-tick kill. None of it worked. And don't even get me started on jungle enemies and getting good bulb spawns. This is the one spot where I turned off spawn rates and kept the game at a constant times 24 speed. Because it was just that annoying. I would finally get a good Plantera bulb, kill it, and then promptly die within 30 seconds every time. It seemed hopeless. Was this the end of the run? But I refused to give up. Through a lot of trial and error, I finally got it. I finally got the right setup so that the fireworks did their trick and removed the phase 2 tentacle grabbers. But the fight wasn't over. It was nigh impossible to cross her without taking a load of damage. But eventually, down to a few iframes and a single hit, I did it. And I thought the next part was going to be even worse. On Classic, I struggled with Golem horribly, and I expected Master Mode to make that brutal. But with my nail gun, now my primary weapon, it turns out he's a pushover like normal. Having 400 HP and buffs helps that much, I guess. With Golem dead, it was finally time to fully optimize my gear and make the final push. Hallowed Armor was my best potential armor unless I wanted to farm the old one's army. And if I could avoid it, I would. Master Ninja Gear for the better non-bonking dash, and chance to dodge. Bat wings, lightning boots, everything I could have. It was looking like your average vanilla setup minus the armor. I failed Cultist in a couple attempts, and now I was onto the pillars. First up, Solar Pillar. With Hallowed melee armor and Daybreak being just that good, I went for it first in order to get better gear. Nail Gun was just too outdated for the pillars, or especially the Moonlord at this point. This took a while, as I constantly died from over 200 damage attacks, and being stuck to the ground for the most part due to Crawltipedes. But eventually I killed the Solar Pillar, and got my Daybreak plus Solar Eruption. Next I was onto the Vortex, which I cheesed. Next to the Nebula, which took a while again due to the sheer damage enemies dealt to me. And finally, Stardust, a very simple farm of star cells until I had finally defeated all pillars. There was just one obstacle left in the way between myself and victory. The Moonlord. A battle for the ages. A proof of Oh. He's dead. Yeah, that wasn't all that difficult. After defeating the Moonlord, it was finally over. I had finally completed the challenge, and have proven you can, in fact, beat Terraria on Master Mode without breaking a single block. I'd personally rate this challenge a 7 out of 10. The difficulty was kind of all over the place, but having to think of creative ways to get around some of the problems was pretty fun. I want to thank you all for reaching the end of the video. I know I'm a relatively small content creator at the moment with an inconsistent upload schedule, but if you enjoyed this, then please consider subscribing. It would mean a lot to me. Thank you again for watching. This has been Iron Pizza 73, and I'll see you next time.